Good morning.
Okay, here we are for another G4 Guitar Teacher Hangout. We're going to do our standard questions, go around the room and find out what everybody's got on their list of problems and challenges and see if we can't solve a few in this hour. So I'll start with Paul. Paul, have you got something that you want to talk about today? Any questions, topics that you want to cover?
Facebook ads would be good, and more particularly, Ryan Dice on Saturday was amazing. His whole talk was on retargeting and using pixels and that kind of thing. The ad I'm using at the minute for my open day is just trying to put people on the event page. So I'm thinking now it'd probably be better to put them onto a web page, track them, and then obviously market them when they go back to Facebook and do that sort of way. And I suppose just a discussion on best practices, or maybe just trying to get some ideas going, or maybe
Okay,
a
cool.
campaign for my open day is really, I suppose, the question.
Okay, yep. And just talking about some of the things he did, I did his whole seminar recently. So yeah, he's great, and some of the speakers that he had are brilliant as well. So we'll talk a little bit about Ryan Dice and what his main game is.
Yeah.
He's certainly up amongst the top guys in the business. So he's definitely someone you want to listen to and track. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's great. So we'll have a look at Facebook ads, retargeting, how it applies to us, and how we can use their ideas. Bob, have you got anything you want to chat about? Any questions, problems, challenges?
Not particularly at the moment. No. If something comes up, I will raise it.
Beautiful. Okay, no problem.
What other people are going on about right now.
All right, excellent. Well, it looks like we've got a bit to talk about tonight, so that's fine. So Ben Messenger, did you want to talk about? I mean, you can add another topic, but I know that you were going to talk about the markets and so forth that you've been doing, which have been very effective for you. We should do a bit on that anyway. But anything else you want to add?
I've got no burning questions, so I'll quite happily just give you my take on the markets if you like. I'm happy to do that.
Brilliant. Yeah, because that's going to be. I think that's going to be really beneficial. Okay, and Ben Accardi, have you got something you want to talk about?
We want to discuss what was going on about yesterday. Yeah, that could be quite good. But it's quite a big conversation, so should we put that last and see what happens?
Yeah. We'll kind of divide it up as best we can. We'll try and spend 15 minutes on each and see how we go. If we need a bit more, we'll go from there. So
if we end up with much less time, we could make it just how to respond when that situation comes up, rather than whether we should react to that situation.
Yeah. And sometimes a big problem doesn't need a big answer. Sometimes we think that it does, but often it's a very underlying simple thing, but it's the problem that's causing you the most stress or the most effect on your business right now. It seems to be this one big looming problem, and we often go, and I'll talk about that a bit in a minute, but the solutions sometimes are very simple, but simple in theory.
Small tweaks.
It's like writing a great song. It's simple in theory, but writing a great song is not simple in practice. All right, so let's go back to Facebook ads and Ryan Dice. So Paul, just come in on that again and tell me what are some of the things that you got from Ryan Dice, and what are some of the questions around that?
It was obsession of the whole weekend. I was only there for 2 days, but he just blew my mind. The two big things he was talking about were it's not cost per click, it's cost per pixel. So the way forward is retargeting through Facebook and AdWords. And another thing was traffic's a commodity, so you've got to go to the store to buy the traffic. It's not like it used to be. You have to buy it. Facebook, YouTube, Google AdWords. So that's kind of the big takeaways. Another one, what he was saying, which I keep forgetting, the kind of acronym he was using. Instead of SEO, visitor optimization or visitor experience optimization. So when someone goes to a website, it's set up for the visitor, not for the search engine. Because the search engine will rank your site according to how visitors will view it. Not, there's no hacks basically. I was trying to say there's no shortcuts anymore. You've got to put in the time, you've got to put in the effort. So they're the big things. But on regard to the Facebook ads, I'd say the advert I've got at the minute is purely advertising the event page. So people then obviously see the event page. So I'm getting quite a few comings, but I'm not getting a lot of people booking in. Well, I say that, I've got 10, and it's still in the early days, so I'm quite happy how it's going. But my goal is 40 for the open day. So where he was talking about retargeting, I thought that is amazing. Because someone's going to hit your page, they'll go off the page, and then you market that person who visited your page on Facebook ads directly related to the content they visited on your website. And I just thought that just blew my mind. You can then hook them back in, And one of my friends was doing it on his site, and he was getting people sign up for like 60p or something ridiculous. His kind of cost was amazing. I was like, wow, it blew my mind. I just started to hear about it, but with him explaining that. So again, I've just got these kind of ideas of that's probably in my eye the best way to do it is perhaps advertise the page on Guitar Ashford's guitarlessonsashford.co.uk, have a page there, a landing page advertising the event. Someone goes on that. If they don't book, they go back to Facebook. Clever pixel stuff, magic. They then get hit back on Facebook saying, "Oh, spaces are filling up." They'll then click back. So that's my understanding of it. I don't know if I've really got good understanding of it.
It's been explained to me several times, and I have looked at different aspects of the remarketing and the retargeting as well, and it's getting more and more precise. It's getting more and more like stalking you. You see this ad that follows you everywhere and sort of reframes and has different ways of trying to get you in. So, and it's one of those things that it is cost versus if you do it right and you do it for certain specific things, it really works. But there is of course the time and cost. So. And this is something sometimes not factored in, and it's something that Ryan Deiss can't factor into you personally, and can't factor into everybody's business. Everybody's got to look different at each of their businesses, and he's really talking to the audience that is not getting enough return for their investment. So they spend $100 and they get $50 sale out of it. And so and I know the guys like Ryan Deiss, Frank Kern, all these guys, that what they look at is purely selling. Marketing and selling. They're not so much into they do some of their customers do go to the level of becoming worth thousands of dollars, but a lot of what they do and a lot of what they teach is revolves around this idea of finding products, finding a market, finding a product, sell it online as that product, set up your marketing, your sales, your funnels, everything. So it's a fully online, almost passive. It's never passive. There's a great video going around at the moment that is what's the guy's name? He's just lost his name, but he's one of the similar guys, and he's done this great video which sort of says basically dispels the whole myth about online marketing. He just says everybody I know in this space, everybody I've met, they all work really hard. And they've all been at it for years and years, and yes, they make a lot of money, but it didn't happen. There's no magic program out there. You don't just go and buy this program for $100 and it suddenly, you sit back on your island. He said, I don't know anyone like that. I haven't met anyone like that in this industry. So Vaynerchuk, Vaynerchuk, have you seen some of his stuff? No, check him out. He started off as a wine guy, but now he writes a lot of books. And Gary Vaynerchuk, I think his name is. So his video is really good because it really sort of opens that up. And the idea is that when you're doing your marketing, you're doing your online marketing, there's going to be constantly new things, new testing, new ideas, new ways to find things. And even once you find something that works, it'll change tomorrow. It'll change next week. Facebook send me emails weekly about a new thing that they've added to their system. And to go through the process of testing every new thing, it's a lot of work and a lot of time. And it's something that I don't particularly advise you try everything, because it's just not going to be time effective What you really want to do is work on something for a while, tweak it, get to know how it really works, and then move on to the next thing. So once you sort of get something, you don't have to get it 100%, just get something up to 60% that it's performing well, and then move on to the next thing. So a couple of things, and that's what happens when you go to a lot of these seminars, and they're really good. I highly recommend you guys go to them, and you know that I say this all the time. But be careful of what's often called in the industry shiny thing syndrome, and that is where every new thing you're kind of jumping on the bandwagon of something new, a new idea, and I've just to sort of give you an example here. I've been looking at the remarketing. I've been going to these seminars for a while, and they sort of told me about these new different things to do, and I look at it and go, okay, there's a rabbit hole that's going to keep me busy for the next 6 months. Do I want to go down that rabbit hole? So I seriously think about whether I want to go down those rabbit holes each time, and I look at what I'm doing already, and then I say, okay, I'm going to focus on what I'm doing now, and then I'm going to come to that, and I put it on my list, and if it keeps coming up at me, then I'll keep coming back to it. Now, in saying that, if what you're doing is not working, and everything you're trying is not working, then you definitely need to look at other options. You don't want to keep plugging away at something that's not working. You want to find things that are working. So from the point of view of remarketing, if you can see, I think on the local level, I'm talking about the bigger level, the internet level, on the local level, I think the best remarketing you can do is a phone call. I still can't see anything that's better than ringing somebody up and talking to them. What I do, and I, with people now who subscribe to my newsletter or to my ebook, is that I actually send them a personal email, because I was finding that the automatic emails they weren't responding to. I could put the same email into to the autoresponder, and then they weren't responding. And I don't know if that was because the autoresponder was getting picked up, so they were blocking those emails, or other things were going on. I'm not sure. And when you're dealing with smaller numbers, when you're more in a niche market, which is especially you guys, but it also applies to me on the scale that I am, it's still a small market. Guitar teachers aren't like people who want to lose weight or make $1 million. They're guitar teachers. It's specific what we're doing, etc. So it's still fairly small by that situation. So with the numbers that you've got coming through, you've probably got a list of a couple of hundred people who have inquired in the last 6 months, 12 months. I'm not sure how many inquiries you have. I know Ben Al-Qaidi was surprised last week when I said, the number of inquiries that you could possibly get. So I know that some of you guys are getting different numbers. Some of you are getting good numbers, some of you are getting less. But even so, I don't think anyone is in a situation where they've gotten so many inquiries, which will happen, but I don't think quite yet, that you've got so many inquiries that you can't actually go to the trouble of making a phone call. That a phone call isn't the best option still. The remarketing is really, so you can take when you've got emails, I know we're talking about pixels here, and I'll explain the difference, because we want to make sure that everybody understands this, because I know you understand this really well, Paul, but not everyone within who will be watching us and listening to us will understand totally what we're talking about. But in terms of, there's different ways to remarket. Number one is you can take the email addresses you've got, throw them in on Facebook, and it will market to those people, providing they've used that email address within Facebook. So that's how it finds them, and so we'll advertise just to those people. And you can segment them in, so you can have people who have been students, past students, current students, people who have just inquired, etc. So you can break them into the different categories, and then you can set up specific ads for those people. So each time you add a layer to that, it does add more complexity to it. It adds more tests that you need to do. So the main thing is can you keep up with it? Can you keep up with everything? Your marketing, your teaching, your selling, and everything else that you're trying to contend with. If you can keep up with it, then yeah, go for it. But what you probably want to do is just simplify it a little bit, and that's where I'm trying to, with G4, is do a lot of the testing behind the scenes and get a more broad-based, feedback on what's working. And I'll give you a quick example. The new Thrive themes. I've been testing the form on the side with the slide-in. I don't know if you guys know what slide-ins are, but they basically just slides into the side. So it's like same like a form, but it just slides in rather than just sitting there on the side. It's performed at the moment. It's performing more than twice as well as just having the side one there. And you guys have all got the side one at the moment, and I haven't put the slide one in because I don't want to put it in there without testing it. But so far on the test that I'm running, it's getting more than double the sign-ups. Is that better? Is that going to work for you guys? I don't know, because that's happening on my website. I don't know if there's a difference with what you're offering compared to what I'm offering. I don't know whether or not it's different audiences, appeals to different people. Is it going to be annoying for some people, etc., etc. So it's really, each time we go to another level, we've got to kind of weigh up those factors. Now, in terms of pixels, so when we're talking about pixels, this is where we're actually putting in a pixel and it's getting picked up, right, from the person who goes there. It picks up who they are and it knows who they are from that point on. And that way, Facebook can then follow and track that person and then target them certain ads and certain. So can you tell me again what Ryan Dale said? Because he did speak about this a little bit, but he did speak about a lot of other things as well. What was he specifically saying in terms of that?
He was kind of saying, the old kind of way of putting someone straight to an offer, like a landing page, is equivalent of asking someone to marry you on the first date. So that's the kind of analogy he used, which I quite liked. So the idea being you sell content. So you direct someone to a blog. You then know that they've hit that blog because they're interested in guitar lessons for kids. So then they go back to YouTube, not YouTube, well, I suppose it could be YouTube, Facebook, and they then see an advert coming up saying, we offer guitar lessons for kids, and then that takes them to the offer. So you warm them up through the content, you build the relationship, and then you follow up with the offer kind of afterwards.
Yeah.
That's really how he was, I suppose, putting forward the idea. So yeah,
that's a really good strategy, and it's definitely the kind of today's strategy. It's a bit like a news program or a TV station. TV stations don't sell ads to us. In other words, they're not saying, hey, come and watch all our ads. What they're saying is, come and watch some content. Come and view our programs for free, but we're going to throw some ads in between, and hopefully you'll buy some of those products. And that's how they fund their programs. So that's the angle, is that we are all primarily, when you have a website and you're online, we are now all media channels. We're all doing something, and I don't care who it is. Everybody is got an agenda. They might be giving free content out there, but everyone has some kind of agenda. It could be just because they want to be seen, be popular. They might be creative in their video making, so they just want to show their creative videos or whatever it is on their website. But in most cases, people are trying to sell stuff there, whether it be music lessons or products or etc. So in terms of seeing yourself as a media channel, somewhere that people can come to and find content about the subject, because obviously you want to bring people to you because of the providing good content around what they're interested in, and then they go, I like this guy, I want to see what else he's got, I might buy his book, I might sign up for lessons, etc., etc. So that's what we're talking about, correct? Yeah. Okay, cool. So in terms of let's just go through the process so we can clearly understand the steps that our customers are going through. And this is something we probably haven't done enough of as a group, where we talk about what do they go through, what do they experience, because it's far too easy for us to get lost in what we're doing and forget about their experience on the whole thing. And that's something that I used to do regularly. I still do. I walk through their experience. I go through every email. I actually set myself up for my own emails, and I get them periodically, and I read them, and I go through them, and I feel what it's like to be in their shoes. So let's walk through this together, Paul. Imagine you're a beginner guitar student. What are you looking for when you're online?
I suppose I'm searching for lessons. I'm looking for information. I'm looking for comparison. So I go to different sites looking at what they offer. And then look at, I suppose that's it. It would be comparison if I was in the market looking for guitar lessons. Okay, so we're going to have two kinds of students, generally speaking, in this regard. We're going to have the ones who are actually looking for a teacher, and then we're going to have the ones who are not looking for a teacher, but they happen to see an ad
so they become curious. They're still wanting to learn guitar, and the latter is the majority. The majority of people out there aren't actually actively seeking guitar teachers, and I would go as far as to say 95% of people who are online looking at, who possibly potential guitar students, are not looking for you. So that's why that is, to me, is the big market. That's where it's at, and that's what most people are missing out on. Certainly most guitar teachers are missing out on it, because you've got all these guitar teachers who are, as I call the seagull and the chip. They've got all these seagulls fighting over one chip. Meanwhile, there's a whole fish shop over here with everything, and no seagulls. And so if you compete for the SEO, and that's where Ryan Deiss, exactly spot on. And that's something that I've been talking about for a long time, is don't set your websites up, don't chase the SEO. And that's what so many people do. And, even amongst you guys, every now and again someone will pose a question. You guys are great, but because you understand this, I'm pretty sure. But, even so, every now and again it comes up and said, what about the SEO? How are we looking on this? And so it's really a very small factor. It doesn't really matter that you're on page 1 of Google, because people, if they don't go to your website and have a good experience, if it's not the kind of place that is going to inspire them to want to learn guitar or want to at least inquire with you, it doesn't matter. You can be number 1 on Google and then everyone goes no good, and they go looking for something else. So it's a very small thing, and I think we have this imagination that everyone goes to Google, searches guitar lessons, and then whoever's number 1 or 2 spot gets all the business. But it's not working like that, and everybody's experience is different now on Google, believe it or not. So what you get as number 1. If we search the same thing now, all of us here, for say guitar lessons London or something of that nature, we'll all get a different page. We'll all get, we might get a few things that are similar, but we'll all get a different experience based on our own search history. So yeah, I think that the important thing here, if we're looking, so if we just come back to the Facebook ads and how we can improve them, because at the moment the marketing on Facebook is going okay. And there's always room for improvement. But to really make it worthwhile is that we can do 2 things here. One is obviously the inquiries that come through to you. So people have filled in the forms and you've got their details. They would be the hottest leads for me. They would be the people I would be calling up and trying to chase. Now with the pixels, yeah, that's something that we can look at, and we can, for you guys with who are running your Facebook ads, then we can look at. Have you done any of that, Paul, yet, using the pixels?
I haven't.
No. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So it's something you can certainly look at and go back to those same people. It's something we need to test and just have a look at it. And I might just test it on 1 or 2 accounts and see what happens. I'll try and maybe do it on my own first. What I generally do is test things on the G4 Guitar Method website and the Facebook marketing there, so I can see what's happening. So yeah, is there anything else you want to add to that?
David, I just have a question.
Yes, Bob. Yeah.
You keep mentioning pixels. Pixels is a very specific thing dealing with computer hardware. What is this redefinition of pixel that he's using? The pixel is the tiniest information on a screen. What is he talking about pixels?
Yeah, in Facebook, what they're talking about is putting in basically if you go to a website, and it'll pick up who you are, and so what you do is you put tracking. It's a tracking really code into your.
That's a cookie.
Sorry. Exactly, it's a cookie. It's a cookie, yeah, and it's Facebook's been using the term pixel, or a lot of them use, but it's mainly coming through Facebook. It's just their term, and it probably relates to a pixel in some way or another. In other words, it's taking up a certain number of pixels within the website or something. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, because it's, as you say, pixel is a term that's reserved for the number of dots on a screen. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, some of these terms they evolve, and guys sort of use different ways, but it's basically planting cookies, and it's tracking the people who are coming to the website. So Okay, sorry, Paul. Did you want to add anything to that?
Not really. I suppose the real fundamental question is: do you think I should put the traffic to the site rather than to the event page? I suppose that's really where it was all coming from. Because at the minute, my Facebook ad is advertising the event page, but not. Is it better to fund them to the website?
Yeah, I think. Look, personally, and I think this is really what Ryan Dice is saying to you as well, is that you shouldn't be sending people to the event who haven't already have an interest in what you're doing. They're not already aware of you, because you kind of you're asking for the phone number. You walked up to the girl in the bar and you're saying, "Can I have your phone number?" And she's like, "Who are you?" So that's kind of what you're doing. So what you want to do is look, if it's a free event, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but in most cases, it's better to offer people something to come. This is the online world. Offer them something to come to your website, and that's again the free download of the G4 Guitar Method. They're the people who you want to go back and target for the event. So the event is the webinar. Is that what we're talking about?
No, the open day.
Oh, the open day. Okay.
Yeah.
So the open day, ideally, see, there's a difference with and this is where, again, with Ryan Dyson and these guys, you've got to understand that they're globally marketing. They're not so much. They do these. What they do is market out how to market. In other words, they do seminars on how to market. That's where they make their money. But what they do is that they will do a sort of global marketing thing where they give away free things, and they have headlines that say how to double your customers, or how to for $1 how to get a new customer on Facebook for $1, how to write great copy, a free ebook on how to make $1 million online. So that they use all these kind of seductive headlines to get you into their zone. Then they give you a free ebook. Then they give you a couple of free emails. They talk about give 3 emails with good content, and then throw your offer. So in your case, it would be maybe beginner guitar, how to learn how to play 10 songs with 3 easy chords. That's the kind of thing that beginners are looking for. How to learn guitar in 3 minutes without trying. So all these kind of dodgy headlines, but they're what get people in. They get onto your website. They then download, you get a free download, whatever it is, in our case, the G4 Guitar Method. Then you'll follow up with some emails that say, what you need to do today. It's your first time. Make sure that you're holding the guitar properly. Here are a bunch of chords. Here is this and here is that. So you give them some things. Maybe have a video of you showing how to play a very simple song using very simple chords, showing them how the chords go. Even if they're not up to it, just for them to see a song and see you and go through the motions. It gets them familiar with you. So you give them 3 of those, and then you say, hey, I'm having an open day on Saturday, the whatever. If you'd like a free lesson with me in person at my studio, go to this, bang, click, and away you go. So that way they're already familiar with you, and they know who you are. It's not saying that it couldn't work anyway, because like any event, there'll be people who are interested in it. And that's the difference with the Ryan Dice global marketing approach, is that you're not trying to, you've got a small market, so a lot of people who already live in your area, it doesn't feel like some guy who's on the other side of the world. You're a local, you're somebody who's doing a local guitar school, they're already learning guitar and think, well, that's just near me. I might get out and check it out. So yeah, I don't think, it's like a restaurant. A restaurant doesn't have to throw up content. And then they can just say, hey, we've got great food. If you want to get 50% off or get 2 meals for the price of 1 on Saturday night, click this. And people will. They don't need that, warming up, if you like. It's just a straight up offer.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So definitely don't take it too literally. I think you probably can do a bit of both.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So
can I ask a quick question, David?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I've been using the Done For You Facebook ads the whole time. So every time we discuss this kind of stuff, I'm listening and trying to understand it, but not having actually dealt with any of the customizable features. I'm not really able to follow all this stuff that well. should I start getting into my own Facebook ads now, or is it still something at this stage that you think I should just leave to you and just focus on the offline, get the flyers, build to like kind of 40 or 50 people, and then start thinking offline, online?
Look, I think if you want to do it. You know, I'm not either way here. I wouldn't give you advice one way or the other. I think that if you want to do it, do it. But if you don't really want to do it, don't do it, because there are so many things that you could do, and it's better to put your time and energy in what you want to do.
Definitely. I think I'll leave it for now then, because it's clearly a huge area. So
yeah, it is, and yeah, the learning is, you know, once you get in, it is a real rabbit hole. But, you know, some people, Paul clearly enjoys it. You know, that's why he's attending seminars and wanting to know more about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I find it really interesting, but I just don't think it would be worth the time investment yet, because I can still get better at, for example, the inquiry calls, and that'd be a much better use of my time.
Yeah. And you can still do a little bit of investigation, you know, like don't be completely... you know, on the sidelines. You know, do a little bit of research every now and again and have a bit of a read up on it. Just get to know a few of the main terms. So.
Yeah. Do you get any kind of feedback on specifically my campaign?
Yep. I can see.
Would you mind sending that along just so I see what it looks like? And
sure, no problem. Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah, if I forget to do it, then just email me and I'll send it to you.
No worries. Roughly what time would it be around the time I send each payment?
I can do the report any time. It can be done for the last 7 days, the last 30 days,
cool.
The entire campaign. Yeah, whatever you like, and I can tell you, you know, basically how many, you know, there's basically all the stats I can give you. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll just send you an email sometime later today then.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Okay, so let's go to the markets. I'll hand the microphone over to the one and only Ben Messenger. Over to you, Ben.
Cheers, Dave. I guess it's the complete opposite to what Paul's doing, and I'd be interested to give us both 12 months at it and to see. I imagine we'd both be very, very similar in terms of the response you're getting from it versus the time put in. I've done nothing on Facebook, on online ads, on anything like that, because I put my time into the physical side of it. Because personally, I've found that being in front of people works better for me. But having said that, I'd love to sit behind my computer and not have to go out the front door and do it. But I know that for me, my personality, I need to sit in front of people and see people. Yeah. So what I did, my first one that I did was just speaking to a lady just on the local Facebook. Our postcode area is SK8, it's a Stockport postcode. It's a local group on Facebook, and someone was on there saying there's going to be a new fair happening first Saturday of each month, and it's literally around the corner from my house. So I thought, great, I'll go down and have a look. And there was people there doing, selling baked goods and brownies and all that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of what you class as artisan makers there. So there'd be custom-made furniture and homemade pies from this wonderful pastry from down the road and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, well, hang on, if people are going there generally to eat and drink, then I'm going to stand out an absolute mile. And sure enough, the first one that I did, the lady who organised said, well, we've never had anything like you before. What are you planning? I said, well, I'm just going to plan and sit and give 10 or 15 minute taster sessions to kids, just to give them a taste of the guitar. She said, we've had nothing like you before. Come and do it for free. And that was the first one that I did. Was for her was back in June, and I signed up 8 people.
Fantastic. Wow.
6 of which paid on the day, using PayPal here.
Beautiful.
I've had then various other ones I've tried out. Some have been pretty poor, where the turnout's not been great because the people who've been marketing it haven't been very good at that, or sometimes the kind of people that I did one a couple of weeks back that was essentially for pretty much retired people. So the kickback that I got from that wasn't great. So you've got to pick and choose. But the way I'll break it down, basically what you're looking at is most of them charge between £25 and let's say £50 for your pitch. And in that pitch, either you can hire one of their sort of pop-up gazebos, or do what I do. I bought one because I thought the amount I'm doing one a month at least, if not 2 a month, so I might as well buy the thing. But either way, you're in a little tent, and you've got. I just have a couple of guitars out there on stands. You know, a half size, a 3/4, and a full size adult guitar. I'll be there playing as well if needs be. But generally, it's being around and handing out stickers and balloons to the kids, handing out flyers to people, and if you get any slight interest, it's just saying, "Come in. Do you want to have a play?" 9 times out of 10, it's complete beginners, adults or kids who've never touched a guitar before. So you'll get them sat down, get them sat with the footstool, get them sat with the guitar properly. I'll just do some simple picking exercises and some simple strumming exercises with them. Literally nothing more than that. And then from then, it's almost like a face-to-face sales call.
So
where you find out a bit.
Let me throw a couple of questions at you, Ben. So if let's say I'm walking along at the markets, I've got my daughter with me, and we see you there, and so she's curious and walk up and have a look. What's your approach? What do you say to me?
Well, first thing I'll do, whether you're interested or not, is I'll slap a sticker on Mia, and straight away the kids are like, "Do you want a sticker?" Of course they want a sticker. Brilliant, bang, sticker, fantastic. There you go, high five, awesome. Here's a leaflet for mum and dad, and sometimes you'll walk on. If someone's interested, it's just a case of finding out all the same stuff that you do on the sales call, so a bit of connection. What music are they into? Have you played before? What school do you go to? How old are you? Have you got any friends who play? That sort of thing.
Fantastic. Because there's no better situation for presenting the guitar lessons than face-to-face. I know that from many years of experience. And I can say that we ran several, maybe 4 or 5, what we call shopping centre promos, and they were hugely successful. The most successful one that I ran was really, I think it was over about 3 days. It was like a long weekend, and we took just over 100 people's contact details. We had the little forms, the red ones. That's actually where we started those forms, because I needed them for that. And yeah, we did over 100, and it cost in Australian dollars at the time about 500 Australian dollars. The actual in a shopping centre, this particular shopping centre, which is like Westfield in Australia, they're the big ones, and it cost you like $1,000 for a weekend. But we shared with a piano teacher, and it was great because people were in a position to be able to, on a weekend, people have got more time, they're relaxed, they're not sort of in a hurry. Like often when you get them on the phone, people are always busy, they're going somewhere, whereas this is a relaxing day, family day, whatever. And yeah, and out of that, in the end, out of that 100 on that particular, like I said, that was the best. The others weren't as good as that, but we ended up with 30 new students. 30 paid enrollments from that, and we didn't even really follow up. We were so flat out, over that week, just getting through those people who were signed in, that we didn't bother to follow up. And so I reckon easily we could have got another 10 or even 20 out of that 100. Yeah. So it's very, very good. And you made that personal connection. So when you ring them up, the follow-up, it's not like, "Who are you? I don't know who you are." They're really, "Oh, hi, you're the guitar guy." Yeah. So I think they're an absolute winner. And if politicians do it, it must work. Where do you see politicians around election time? In shopping centres and out on the street. That's where they are. They're out kissing babies and in old people's homes and wherever. They're out in the real world, and it works because of the fact that you get to make those personal connections, and within your community, it's hugely powerful, because that's where it's all happening, and you become part of the community. People talk about you, because even if I go from that 100 people who left the details, that doesn't count the other 1,000 people who stopped and had a look. And now are aware of who we are. So it's not just, even if we hadn't signed anyone up, I still reckon it was worth every cent, just from the exposure. So yeah, cool. Well, that's great. Is there any final tips you want to add to that?
I mean, if you want me to just go through a quick checklist of what I do, that's handy for you.
That'd be great.
First things first, go to them. I imagine in the UK, they seem to be a standard thing now. You know, it's the one that I do is what's called a maker's market. So like I say, it's the homemade breads, the homemade cakes, all that sort of stuff. Food and drink is always going to attract people. Rather, this is going to sound crazy, but I've done the kids' fun days, and oddly enough, when you go to a kids' fun day, you're competing against the clown and the bouncer castle and the whack-a-mole. There's no competition. I've had some of the worst and most depressing days at the kid, which sounds stupid, at the kids' fun days. I'm thinking, great, 300 kids, brilliant. And of course, they're all in the bouncer castle, they're all playing the video games, or they're all running around, you know, firing water pistols or whatever. So they don't want to come and sit and play guitar at all. So that was the first thing, pick your market. I'm looking at it the same way you are, David, that even if not a single person signed up, I couldn't get that same exposure for doing that same amount of hours flyering. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. So to me, provided you're not spending hundreds of pounds, it's worth doing. It's worth doing. Second thing, if you're going to do it the way I did not for the free lessons, bring the G4 sort of studio environment to the fair as much as you can. So get a decent pitch, either hire one of their gazebos or get your own gazebo. Set out, you know, your stall as if it's a teaching studio. So again, you see lots of people stood with the desk in front of them and whatever they're selling on the desk, and there's a barrier straight away. The amount of time people will walk, unless it was hot food or drink, people will walk, have a little look and walk past because the person who's selling is stood behind the desk. I'd be out and in front, come inside, come and sit down, and you're inviting people in, which straight away breaks down, you know, numerous barriers. And if people aren't interested, that's fine, they'll take a flyer, they'll walk away, it's not a problem. So have some chairs set out, have a couple of guitars, have your guitar stands, whatever else. Going down to the actual lessons, I kept them so simple that every time someone signed up, I thought, am I missing something here? They're expecting something that I'm not giving, because the lessons were literally, we're not even talking left hand here, we're talking some simple picking and a bit of strumming. You know, so I'll get little Johnny sat opposite, strumming up and down while I'm playing through a chord progression and counting. Brilliant, well done, mate, high five, fantastic. And I've had mums and dads taking videos and posting them on Facebook of their kids effectively doing a rhythm exercise. They're not even playing a song, because obviously in that 5 or 10 minutes as a complete beginner, you can't possibly get them playing a song. It's cool, having said that, when it's someone who says, oh, I've played a bit before, come in, let's have a jam. That's cool, that's nice. And quite often that happens and those people don't sign up. But still, because you're actually playing something, that attracts more people to the store.
Excellent. Because I think you can do things like A/B testing as well, where you try different things to bring people in. It's just going to get better and better, as far as I'm concerned. Each time you try, you know, a different T-shirt, a different, you know, wear a hat, maybe put a guitar that's got something special on it. Yeah.
The one thing I would recommend, you mentioned it in the comments here, Ben, getting a second person, because you need somebody who's the ideal is have someone who's walking around giving out flyers and stickering the kids and directing them to me. Then if I'm busy and I'm sat with somebody, I've still got somebody else who can just chat to whoever's walking past and say, well, you know, like yesterday, for example, I had 4 different families waiting for me at one time. 3 of them, I remember precisely what happened, 3 of them came and had lessons, 2 booked in. And then I got a phone call at 9:30 last night so that we didn't get a chance to see you yesterday, but I want to book in. They hadn't, you know, they'd been around, didn't get time to wait, but they still saw the buzz that was going on and booked in. Yeah, I'm a firm believer.
You got a meeting out of your hand. You've got a meeting out of your hands. It's
yeah, to me, you've got to be out there. But it is, as I was saying to Paul earlier before we started the recording, it is a long day. It's in total, it would be probably a 6-7 hour day from setup, you know, to getting home. For example, yesterday's was 10 till 4, but I was there at 8:30, and I put the last lot of stuff in the car at 5 o'clock. But as I said to you, if I'd have spent those 8 hours out flyering, for me personally, that would have been 1,500, 2,000 flyers maximum. And
how many students did you get? How many students did you get in the last one that you did?
4 yesterday. Previous
okay.
one, the big one back in June, got me 8.
Okay, so
So off that one day.
if we're talking, average terms for you guys, we're talking £1,000 is the value of an average student, and you just worked a normal day. Talk to someone who works in a job and they work that every day. Every weekday, that's a normal work day. So it's not really it might be a long day for us as guitar players, but for sort of employed people, we do what we want. But to be in that one place for us, under those circumstances, might feel like a long day, but it's a normal working day. People sit in shops for 7-8 hours a day. I saw my parents go through it growing up, and that's how it was. You sit there for hours and no customers, and then suddenly you got 10 customers all at one time. But people are like that. They come in, where you had those 4 families waiting. When the one family's there, that's when other people are kind of curious. Oh, what's going on there? Because we're always wanting to know what we're missing out on. And so that family, and so you got 2 families there, and so the next family, oh, what are they? There's something going on there, and then before you know it, they're piling up, and that's how it happens. With the but yeah, what I was going to say is that you've walked away with 4 students. We're talking £4,000 in value. I'm not trying to put numbers on people, but it is business, and you do have to look at that to sort of see where your time. That's a pretty good day. That's a very very good day.
Yeah.
So
I could tighten up. I think it frustrates me personally the amount of contact details I get from people. I've got a book here with, what have we got, 8 or 9 people who said they were interested, and I haven't managed to speak to a single one yet. And my experience has been that generally, if they don't sign up on the day, generally it doesn't happen. But having said that, if I'm doing these things once or twice a month, there's plenty of opportunity.
Yeah. Wait, look, when I used to sell in retail, that was always the mantra, was that you either get them now or they're gone. That's it. There's no second chance. And it doesn't mean it's always like that, but we took that attitude that, well, if I can't convince you now to put your credit card down, then obviously I'm not going to expect you to come back. And you can see when they're kind of the newer, younger salespeople come in, it was always the same deal. They would come through, and they would be saying, "Oh, I've got this guy. He's going to come back and spend, $2,000, $3,000." Yeah, we'll see. And they'd be excited, and you'd see the kind of after a month or 2, they start to become disillusioned, and then understand. People talk about what they're going to do, and it's only because it will, some of them will have every intention of doing it when they're talking to you, but they go outside and they realise they don't have enough money, or it's not a priority, or the wife says, no, we're not buying that thing. So a million things can happen once they leave the store. So.
I have a question for Ben.
Yeah, far away, Bob.
Where do you find out about these fairs? Where do you get information about when they're going to be held and who's organizing them and such?
Traditional routes. There's stuff in the local papers. I've got a couple of local Facebook groups that are keeping an eye on. There's one in the UK, Bob, I think is called Mumsnet, and that's basically, it is what it says. It's a networking group for mums, basically.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
So you find them advertised there. I just look at geographically, look at what you've got around your area in terms of shopping centres, in terms of local parks, green spaces, and just keep an eye out. This first one I found, adverts on the lamppost at the end of the street that I'd walked past, for months. This has been going on for 2 years. I had no clue up until.
You haven't mentioned schools, Ben. Have you not done any school ones?
Yes, I have. Same approach, same idea. The only issue with the schools is getting in initially is much more difficult. You've got to get some trust. With all the best will in the world, you've got to get in with the PTA, the Parent Teacher Association, or if it's a small.
The mother of one of my students was the head of the PTA, so that helped quite a lot.
Yeah, but otherwise it can be quite tricky. I spent a lot of summer phoning 15, 20 local primary schools, and just before summer finished, and not a single one has come back, which is fine. But it can be quite time intensive. But again, getting into the schools, when I've done the school ones in the past, they've been very good.
Once you're in.
Yeah. The only difference schools, Ben, generally is that with the school fairs, you've not always got mum and dad there. You know, it's normally at the end of a school day and the kids are running around and same sort of thing. They're doing doing that sort of stuff.
Our one was on a Saturday, and it was very similar to what you were describing. There was just food, little cake stalls, second-hand book stall, that kind of stuff.
That's it. It's exactly the same.
I would use the opportunity of the school to network. I would get to know who are the people in the school, who are the teachers, who are the principal. Yeah, really go around and meet everybody as much as you can. Because you're in there, you're kind of a paying customer, so to speak, so they're going to be nice and friendly to you that time. Any other time, they're going to shut the door in your face. But that's a time when you're in there and, you're part of it all. So, yeah, I'd really use it to network. So.
Didn't even occur to me. It's not a natural networker.
Oh, you'll get there, Ben. It's you know, I think once you start to understand that it's the networkers who really find the opportunities and get the business, that's when you sort of you go down that path. I can't say I was a big networker early. It's something that I think I did a little bit. You know, certainly from my childhood, I learnt sort of things through business, but my parents' business, I should say. But it wasn't really until you know, that I was probably about 10 years into my business that I really became aware of the power of networking. So
yeah. It does feel kind of like something you have to turn into a habit, and until it's a priority enough that it stays in your head and you can turn it into a habit. I need to just decide, time to do it.
Well, one of the things that was good for me was I went backpacking. I used to go, you know, I went for a whole year once, but I also, you know, used to go for months at a time. And when you backpack, it's all about networking, because you want to know, you know, who's been to the last city or the next city that you're going to, sort of thing, and you know, where's the best place to stay and where's the food and how much is it going to cost. So you're really, you're networking with everyone all the time. So
good practice.
Yeah, and the best way to think of networking is as an exchange. That you're not just trying to get something out of them, but you're trying to exchange something. You give them some information or give them something back in exchange for what they give you. Okay, so I know we're not going to have a lot of time for this, but I'm still going to add another 5 or 10 minutes here if we need to.
Could I just ask one thing before we go off the fairs?
Yeah, sure.
What would we recommend if you don't have someone there? Because that was my biggest frustration. I was thinking these people probably would sign up if I just had the time, or if I just had someone else to say, that was a great lesson, they seem to really enjoy themselves. Talk at me.
Yeah. What I do, Ben, I've done the same as you, mate, and the number of wasted, you know, over the last 12 months, the number of fairs I've wasted through not having a helper. So if it comes down to it, if it ever happens to me, I just pay my flyer guy just to come with me and just be around. I went away for the big market that are the local ones around the corner. The one in August, I was away for the weekend, so I just paid Kev to stand, not with a full stall, but to stand with my pop-up banner and give out flyers. As it happened, it absolutely threw it down. So he probably literally handed out 100 flyers, if that, but still got one booking from it because somebody had said, "Oh yeah, I've seen your flyer through the door. I know, yeah, I met your assistant at the fair." So it's still,
wow.
I can't stress how important to have somebody, especially just a typical example. If you're sat there playing guitar or giving a lesson, you still need someone, even if they're not sales trained, if you like, someone just to say, yeah, come in, come and sit down, he's just busy, but wait a moment, or if nothing else, it's alright if you can't wait, here's a flyer, pop back, we're here till 4 o'clock. You know, I paid my flyer guy, he's no salesperson whatsoever, but just having him there has been useful. If you can get free help, you know, friends, family, brilliant. But if not, pay your flyer guy to do it with you.
Cool. Sounds good.
It's, you know, for £50 for the day or whatever it is. Yeah, you know, you're potentially going to lose some clients. It's a big one. What I did was I partnered. I did it with a piano teacher. So if you can find someone to partner with. Just tell them what you're doing. Go, hey, you know, it works, and if you want to get some students, come with me. And then you just say to them, look, you know, let's work together. If you know I'm busy and someone's interested in guitar, you can cover for me, and I'll cover for you, vice versa.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. So, so the question about practice, Ben, do you want to just put it into your words so everybody's clear?
Can do. It's mostly that. let's see if the video will work without turning him into a robot. Am I on? Yeah. So basically, when we're talking about guitar, and the example of swimming I gave last time, like if that's starting at nothing and that's being the best swimmer in the world, very few people who go to swimming lessons want to get there. They just want to get to the point where they can not drown in a pool. And I think the amount of practice that I'm asking for is setting the bar higher than most guitar students have in their own mind. And I'm saying we need to meet this certain requirement. And as we say, we start out strict and then we can be a little bit more lenient later on. But I feel that I'm starting out strict enough, as far as I can tell, as nice a possible way. I'm not being kind of angry or dictating to them or anything, but I'm just saying if we do this amount of practice, we'll definitely be getting results. If we do less, it's not so guaranteed. But then they still feel like it's such a commitment that it's not worth learning guitar for that amount of commitment. And I feel like I'm not... Yeah, I've got that, as I said, I've got a bit of cognitive distance because I did stop playing for a while and I took up lessons again. And it's taken me much longer than it had to get to the level I am now. But that doesn't mean that I couldn't have got to this level if I only practiced kind of... I think I'd still have about the average amount of practice I've done in my life if I did kind of 20 minutes 3 days a week.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I know that what I'm telling them is the best way to set high expectations, but I don't know if I'm also putting off so many people who would have ended up like me. Maybe if I was my own teacher, I wouldn't have ended up continuing with guitar because I would have thought, oh, this is much harder than I thought it was. And every now and then, it depends on your personality and how you do stuff, but maybe you can take a break every now and then. Obviously, that's not the kind of thing I want to encourage, but...
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Is that?
Yeah, I do. And look, it's a really interesting topic, and it's one of those things where we're not saying to people that, you know, if you don't do the practice every day, we're going to expel you, so to speak. You know, which is how it can easily come across.
I think that might be what they're reading between the lines.
Yeah, they're sort of thinking, oh, you know, these guys, and sometimes they're thinking too that they're the customer. You know, so what are you telling me what I should do and shouldn't do? You know, you're supposed to be doing. You will get, especially amongst adults, you'll get this thing of where, you know, I'm here for you to teach me what I want to learn, and you're going to do what I tell you to do. That's kind of how they're approaching you as a teacher. That, you know, and that vibe can sometimes be difficult to work with because of where they're coming from. But the thing that I say, you know, whenever I had, you know, anyone really, but when I had those kind of situations, I would say to them, first what I do is I find out, and this is a standard selling technique, and the first is to find out what they're expecting. So when someone comes in and says, like in a shop, and this may be where you need to work on is the actual sales skills. So someone comes into the shop and says, look, I want to buy a new guitar, and okay, great, come over here. I've got this one, it's $1,000, it's great, it's red, it does, you know, it's got 1,000 bells and whistles. Where's your credit card? What do you think most people are going to do in that situation, Ben?
Be a bit overwhelmed by all the things and probably say no thanks.
They're going to go, what? Yep. First of all, I was planning on spending a couple of $100. Second, I don't like red. Third, I don't need all the bells and whistles. So what happens is it's a lottery. You're going to be very lucky if you've got the perfect product for someone that you don't know anything about. So it's, you know, this is the you know, the process of finding out who you're dealing with and what their expectations are. And the selling process never stops. If you want to convince people of something or you want to persuade them, and we're not trying to persuade people into doing something, you know, that's bad here. We're trying to, they want to play guitar, we know how it needs to be done, and now we need to set it up so that it gets done and that they get the result they're looking for, because then they're going to be happy. They're going to be happy when they can do it and when they start to get that feeling of satisfaction, which is what you're looking for. So when someone comes into me and the first thing that I do in those lessons, and that's the very first lesson, even sometimes on the phone, is I ask them, how long do you think it'll take to learn guitar? and they're like, I don't know, depends. And well, how long are you prepared to take, before you get to what you want to do, to get to the goal? So I talk about this thing, and then how much practice are you prepared to do? And people will say things like, oh, look, I can do a fair bit of practice. Yeah, that won't be a problem. Or how much? Probably twice a week. Is that, they're thinking footy training when they're a kid, turn up to footy training twice a week, and that's all that's required. That's how they think. But so once I understand where they're at, then I can come back and say, okay, cool. Look, to get to a decent level in the next 12 months, and that's assuming you want to be able to play some of your favourite songs and all that, at least sometime in the next year or two, you need to be doing it daily. So is that going to be okay for you? Do you think you can manage to do it daily? Even if you start off with 10 minutes a day, is that something that you're comfortable with? And that's when you'll see them. Some of them will go, yeah, sure, that's no problem, and others will go, oh, every day, that's a bit much. And yeah, it can seem like that in the beginning, but once you get used to it, it's like any habit. And then I start sort of talking about things like, you take a shower every day, or you cook every day, you make your dinner or your breakfast or whatever it is. You have certain things, you brush your teeth, you do certain things every day. And most of those things that you do will take you at least 10 minutes. So is guitar really any different? No, it's a lifestyle choice. And if you get into the habit of doing it, it's easier if you do it every day than if you just try and do it, twice a week, because you're inevitably going to put it off. If your life is that busy and that crammed that you can't fit in 10 minutes a day, then it's probably not going to happen. And then I talk about things, even if you can start to see them sort of thing and going through different things. That's why I'm always sort of seeing where they're at. And then what I do is I'll go through a process of asking them, why did you want to learn guitar in the first place? What is it about guitar that you really like? They just love the sound, or I just really have always wanted to play this song or that song. Cool, you're going to be able to do all those things, and I want you to be able to do those things too. So if you can get in the habit of doing these, the skills 10 minutes a day, then you're going to see these songs come together. And I can't explain how it feels. Only musicians, only people who do this, we spend, you take any musician, we spend 90% of our time practicing for 10% of the pleasure. That's the equation. We don't pick up the guitar and 90% of the time it's pleasure. I enjoy my practice and I enjoy certain aspects of my practice, but the actual playing of the songs and that comes from the 90%, the practice. But we do it because we believe it's worth it. We really know what the 10% is, and the more you do it, the longer you do it, the more that 10% becomes really special to you. So it's definitely absolutely worth it, but only you will know that if you go through the process. So, I really make sure I know who I'm dealing with, Ben. That's the first thing. I know, who I'm up against. And I think that what you'll find is that once you start to really connect with people about where they stand with their expectations around guitar. So these people who say they want to just practice a couple of days a week, 2 or 3 days a week, and that should be enough, then that's okay. You can start at that point, but then just go. But what you're going to find, with most of those students, and this is what I found, is most of them, they'll come back and they'll go, look, I didn't have any time to practice this week. I normally would do it on a Tuesday and a Thursday, but had the in-laws over on Tuesday, and Thursday had a drama on, so didn't get to it this week, but I'll definitely get to it next week. And then you get that week after week. And it's because they're not in the habit of practice. And so I talk all about habit. The things that you become good at are the things that you do as a habit. There are very few things you're going to be good at by doing once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Let me just grab each of the guys and get them to just give their take on it. Paul Andrews, what would you say in this respect? How do you deal with this?
Same as you, I suppose, really. Frame it in you want them to practice for them and not you want them to practice for you. I think, but kind of just how you said it, yeah. Link it to their wants, desires, ambition. Like I suppose you would in the sale process. It's like I say, it's selling, isn't it? You're selling the concept of you have to invest your time because you're going to get this outcome that you want. Doesn't matter about me. You want to be this good, so you're going to have to do this. So I suppose, yeah, just
exactly. You're always selling, and really, I'm doing it right now. Is that if I say to you, it's okay, don't worry about the guys that don't practice, just try and keep everybody happy, just cruise along, you know, you're not going to be satisfied. I know, I've been there. I know what it's like to have lots of students who aren't practicing, and it's very, you know, it's very annoying. It's very frustrating. It's stressful. It doesn't make you a happy teacher. What makes you a happy teacher is less students who are practicing, but what makes you really happy is the 100 students or more who are all practicing. There's no better feeling than that, and that's what I had. You know, I got to that point, and you kind of just got to resolve yourself to saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I don't know how I'm going to get these guys to practice, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep working at it, and until I work out how to get it done.
Before we get before we get Bob and Ben's points on it, can I just say most of what you've said is exactly the same as what I've been thinking, and what Paul said matched what I was thinking a bit more. It's kind of the principles are all there. The two specific things I haven't been doing recently is saying how long do you think it'll take, and what are you currently kind of hoping to the more personal side of it for them. I've still been saying the kind of expectation stuff, and I've got the same principles in mind. I'm not thinking I want to let them not practice. It's just that I think I'm displaying those principles much too strongly. Yeah. They see how much I want them to be as good as they can be, and they think I don't want to be that good. I just want to be able to strum a few songs.
Yeah, yeah. They're discounting. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. They're thinking that you have a higher image of where they're going. That's what they're thinking, that you're trying to make them a professional. When hey, I just want to play some cool songs. That's all.
Yeah.
It's like,
I guess what I'm saying is, if the person came in and said, "Yeah, 3 days a week is what I was expecting to practice," that's quite a lot, isn't it? And I was like, "We can start with that. Let's see how we go." And then they kept up that. They did do 3 days a week, and they were happy not being able to play their favourite songs for another 3 or 4 years. That would be fine, but it would be not ideal. I would still want to push for a bit more until we get to kind of 5-6 days a week, maybe 7 days a week, and they're really kind of shooting through the stuff.
Yeah, yeah. If you go to any sort of, you know, and obviously I've been to a lot of coaches, but if you go to any really good coach, you know, the message usually is, and the reason they have, you know, top performers, and it's not just sport, it music, it's business, it's you name it, yeah, life, and they tend to come across with the same message. Is why aim here when you can aim for here? Why? It's no harder. You know, why aim to you know, most people aim to if you ask most people how much they want to earn, just enough to pay the bills, just enough to get by. Why don't you aim for a lot more than that and give the rest to, you know, the poor refugees or you know, people who need it? If you don't want the money, that's okay, but why aim here when you can aim way up here? It's the same. It's all the same. So people, when they're sort of taking up guitar, I really try and get them to sort of say, well, you know, it's not about making you a professional. It's about getting you to just, you know, do more to get to a level that you're going to be happy with, because it's no different once you're in the habit of practicing every day. And I think probably what you can do, Ben, sometimes, because I know exactly what you're talking about there, is sometimes maybe say this is not about making you professional. That's a choice. You can go off and be a professional player. And let me assure you, professionals, you know, the serious people that we're talking about, you know, they're doing 4 hours a day. So you know, I'm not talking about 4 hours a day. I'm just talking about doing, you know, half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour a day, because it's about the habit. It's the routine. If I can teach you to get into the habit of practice, the guitar will take care of itself. So.
I know exactly what you're saying, but I don't feel that addresses the point, because that's not talking to people who don't want to do that, but still want to play guitar. That's what I was doing with my hands when I was saying, if you're meeting the standards I'm setting, you're practicing every day, but you don't have to play guitar, and I feel like I'm turning off a lot of people who want to play guitar. And while I want to be a successful business and be a good guitar teacher in the area, I mostly just want people to play guitar. And I just feel bad if I'm turning people off playing guitar by making it sound like the world's biggest commitment. It doesn't have to be Everest. It could just be a small hill, because you only want to strum one simple song.
Look, there's a minimum. And that's really
Yeah.
what I'm getting at here. Is there is a minimum. If you mislead people into believing they can pick up the guitar twice a week for 10 minutes at a time, they're going to be frustrated. 6 months later, they're still not going to be able to play anything worth
Yeah, I think
listening
what you said about setting time frames is the best thing for that, because I can say you definitely can learn to play guitar if you practice 10 minutes twice a week, but it will
Yeah.
take you 10 years
Yeah.
to get to a very medium level.
I think for myself, Ben, I just got to a point where I was just sick of students who were frustrated because they weren't getting anywhere, and they weren't getting anywhere because they weren't practicing enough. And it was like, and it was almost like they were blaming me. They were looking at me, I'm talking years ago, but they were looking at me as if, well, I've been doing this with you for around 6 months, Dave, and I still can't really play a decent song, Well, you haven't been doing the practice. That's what you want to
Trying to
say.
let it out. They know what they have to do, but they haven't connected it properly.
Yeah.
And then you came on much stronger, and they did really connect it, and it started working.
Yeah, and it is about inspiring them to want to practice too. The best coach of all inspires people to want to do it. It's not about saying you have to do it. If you don't do it, you're in trouble and blah 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 blah. It's about inspiring them. And with kids, it's a bit harder sometimes, but it's inspiring the parents to hang in there, not to give up, to understand. I already can see, with Mia at 6.5. I can already see that she's starting to get it. She's playing Wonderwall every day now. She loves playing it, and so I can just look at her and I'm thinking, imagining forward to when she's 12 or 13, and realizing what a gift it is to be able to play an instrument really well. And all the friends are going to be wishing that they had to learn. And do you think she'll remember any of the tough nights, any of the times that that I was tough on her? She won't remember that. She'll just remember, hey, I can play.
Yeah. And even if she does, she won't think, oh, that memory is terrible. I don't want to play guitar. Why did I do it? She'll still be like, I can play guitar now.
I can play guitar, yeah.
It was definitely worth it.
Yeah, and it's like, how cool is this? And she loves music, so it's just she's already got that. So yeah, it's going to come together for her, and she'll get to that point where it'll all click, and she'll be so glad that she can play guitar. So.
Yeah. I guess I might be just being idealizing things, because there's these students, and you're like, from like lesson 4 or 5, having spoke to the parents about practice, and they just don't want to know, and they're not going to get involved, just flat out refuse. You just think, I want this child to play guitar, even if he's not playing with me. I just want them to have this great thing that they could do. But that it's not going to happen in that situation.
Yeah, and look, sometimes it takes a little while to get them on board too. So don't misread totally what I'm saying here. Sometimes it might take you a couple of months to get people onto the idea of practicing each day.
Yeah.
So if it takes a little while, don't worry about that. I'm very clear about the fact that I don't sack students. I never ever say to sack a student. Yeah, it's about getting them to come to the realization of they're either going to get with a program or they're not. And a lot of those students you'll find, and I get this all the time, as Paul gave an example the other day. They'll come back to you. They'll go somewhere else, and then they'll come back to you. Because they'll realize that you're the real deal. You're not the guy that just tells them everything's okay. You actually tell them how it is.
To their success.
Yeah, exactly. It's different.
Short-term happiness.
Exactly, and you'll gain a reputation for it. People will go, this guy is serious about you learning guitar. So,
yeah.
All right.
Then
we can go on. We can extend this for next week as well.
Oh, so I don't mean to put it too late. I was just going to say Ben had something to say there.
Yeah, go Ben.
Just a quick one, Dave. Yeah, I was going to say what I'm aiming for is, first of all, to be confident enough in my own teaching and my own business, have enough numbers. Comes down to money at the end of the day, doesn't it? Have enough of that to say, it's okay if you don't want to learn with me. This is how we do it. If you don't, that's fine. But what I also want, which I think I'm getting there, is people who do leave go away not saying that teacher's awful. They go away saying, I wasn't practicing enough. And that's fine. That's okay. And it's making them clear that the reason that it hasn't worked for you is not down to, I don't want them saying it's my fault. I want them to realise that you didn't stick at it or you didn't do enough of it. And to me, that's a big enough win. I've had some fantastic testimonials from people who've left. You know, some of the cards and some of the letters I've had from people and text messages from people who've left because they haven't had time to practice or whatever. And it's glowing. You're thinking, God, if it was that good, why didn't you stay? But it's nice. They still feel that they want to spread the word and want to say, listen, thanks for what you've done in the last 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever. I think that's the ultimate goal, like you said, is to get everyone practicing all the time. Of course it is, but I think the secondary thing is to at least have that where people who do leave for the right reasons, if you like, and go away with that. You've talked about it, I forget the term you used, David, but going away with that, their takeaway from it is a good thing. They go away talking about you, even if they're not.
Because if they go away, exactly. If they go away and they spread the word, about you, even if they say to their neighbour, oh, he had to practice every day and I didn't want to do it. The neighbour goes, oh, good, that's the kind of teacher I want for my kid. That's the message.
Well, that sounds a bit much. Then, well, that's great because maybe you don't want that student either. So that's fine. Either way, it works, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It really is about sending. You're just sending a message out. You're broadcasting who you are, and if you're kind of you've got sort of giving conflicting stories. Some people you're telling practice, some people you're not, some people you're letting off, you're not sort of making a big deal about it, and others you are. And it just confuses people. So if you're fairly straight and clear about, I think communication is a huge one as well. We're talking about sales, communication, really giving that consistent message about who you are and what you stand for. So, sorry, I got to go because I've got another thing coming up in a minute. But Bob, just before we go, did you want to add any last words there?
No, not particularly. I thought, I think discussing how we motivate students to practice is a good area to cover, perhaps in one of these hangouts. Different strategies and techniques we can do to get people, building up the practice, not starting out at half hour every day when they first start, but 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, build that up, and let them review with them and show them the benefits that they've gotten from doing consistent, good practice. And how you also teach them how to practice, like how to break things down and that sort of thing. Yeah. So I think it would be a good thing to cover in the future.
Excellent. Yeah, that's good.
It is a problem. It is a problem. I mean, I mostly have adult students, and for them to find time to practice, how often I hear, oh, I didn't have much time to practice this week. And I'll say, well, that's okay. Life is complicated, and I'll use it as an opportunity to review things that we've done, because sometimes they didn't practice because they didn't really understand what they had to practice. I'll explain how to go about practicing this, which is fine on a one-to-one, but when you're dealing with a group, that's not always going to be possible.
Yeah.
So I think talking about how to get the group motivated is a good thing.
Okay, cool, and that's good. That's great. So let's remember that, because we can really dig into that one. It really is very important. Breaking it down, how to do it, and look, the way that I sort of really, the whole kind of process for G4 was really about how to practice. This is how we do it. Even segmenting it in 5 minutes, picking 10-minute skill, 10-minute skill, and then you can double that if you want to do more. But let's get into more specifics of it, and that's great. We'll do that next time.
That would probably help with retention as well.
Definitely. It's all part of it. It's all it's all about the communicating what's in our heads, and we're seeing things from a different angle. We're at this end of the learning. They're down here just beginning. They don't see it like we do. So it's like you and I trying to learn Chinese now. We have no idea where to start.
Well, I mean, I'm learning piano, so I'm at a very early level of that. So I try to relate my experience of playing piano to their experience of playing guitar, and I relate to things like, well, here's what I would do if I came across that, because I don't remember how I learned things on the guitar. It was 40 years ago. But I'll say when I'm doing something on the piano, I would break it down into this bar or this half a bar, and work on that, or this technique, and just work on that technique, staccato, all over the place. And then relate that back to the guitar and teach them that. But let them know that I have that experience as well with another instrument that I'm learning.
You know what it's like to be a beginner, and that's a great thing to be. And I'm doing it, I'm I'm doing it with Japanese, if you like. You know, I haven't been doing Japanese for a long time, but we're going to Japan next year, so I've got to get back onto it. And yeah, I'm not a beginner, but I'm not an intermediate either. Somewhere in the middle there. So. All right, guys, thank you very much. Got to wrap up there. So yeah, see you. This is a great session as always, and see you same time, same channel next week. Have a great day.
Cheers, guys.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys. See you next week. Oh, actually, David, you still there?